Well, good morning and welcome to Stories from the Collection. You join me on what is likely to be my last documented session of 2020, and what a year it has been. It has been quite a year. All things considered, the fishing has been phenomenal. I've had some very memorable sessions. But today, I'm joined by Conrad, who's not just here for the additional views and the good looks, but also because he was a witness to an incredible event 4 years ago at this very location. I want to give a massive shout out to my good friend Galen, who was kind enough to put in some free offerings here ahead of my arrival. A couple years ago, I actually introduced him to this spot, and he said to return the favor, he would pre-bait this location for this project. So massive shout out to you, Galen.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who are watching right now, keep your eyes open for some of Galen's content. He's going to be most upset that I'm telling everybody about this, but the man has probably, I would say, a couple of quality videos waiting to be produced from many sessions he's had throughout this year. Some beautiful mirrors, some underwater videography, and he still hasn't given that to the world yet. So here's the candle lit under your butt, Galen.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, you hear it here first. Galen has a lot of content and he's going to share it with us very soon, so get editing. So today, Conrad and I are fishing at an old haunt of ours that in 2016 we stumbled upon, and I'm fishing today with a very special combo in my collection. My Shimano Tribal Velocity 12-foot 3 1/4 test curve and my Dam SLS 570. This combo was actually pieced together in 2016. I got the reel first, funny enough. A gentleman from the GTA had purchased it originally for salmon fishing, if you can believe it. He thought he might be able to use that to pitch spoons and such along the surf, and
it's got the capacity.
It's got the capacity. It's just huge. It's heavy, right? It's a big reel. It's more for the cast and the set, you know.
Wouldn't balance well on an 8-foot rod.
No, certainly not. Not for pure casting anyway. So the gentleman realized this very quickly, and I was really lucky. I went on Kijiji the one day, typed in the word carp, as we often did, just to see what was up and what was available. Often still do, yeah. And for those of you in the UK, Kijiji's like your Gumtree. So a nice, you know, buy used and sell used items. And I got very lucky. I got it the day it went up, and I paid $90 for that reel.
What? I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, $90.
Whoa, nice.
And the guy brought it all the way up from the GTA to Belleville as he was going to be doing some ice fishing. So I picked it up kind of in the winter time. And that got partnered up at first with a Streamside Predator 12-foot, which was my very first Streamside before I even joined the team in 2017. And I had a lot of fish on that reel even before that Tribal came into my hands. But the Tribal Velocity came into my hands for my birthday in 2016. And by this point, I was already set on the rod. I'd already seen it once and had seen this carbon wrapping going up to a first sort of feature threading there about a foot away from the handle, and it matched the carbon pattern that was on the reel as well. So it's just a match made in heaven, I think. And it's a very well balanced combo.
It looks really intentional. It looks really good.
It does. It does. So that combo caught me a lot of fish. It was my go-to combo in 2016. And coming in towards the end of 2016, I was heading off to a practicum placement, October 2016, around this time of year.
Almost exactly 4 years ago, yeah.
To the day. And we had just come back from homecoming weekend. I was just coming off of homecoming. Quite a bender I was on for that weekend. I was not in my best of sorts, but you and I have been talking about this spot because you pass this on your way to work quite frequently, and I pass this on my way to school almost every single day, and we never fished it. We'd fished other spots on this section, upriver, downriver, but never right here. So we put in a bit of a baiting campaign, a couple days worth, and then we showed up. We got the rigs in that first night, and we both were graced with that lovely mid-double. We both had a mid-high double that night. Did not a telltale of what was to come, though.
No, we had no idea.
We had no idea. And so I think after that session, it really started buckling down for me. The midterms, I had a lot of paperwork I had to do before I went on that practicum. I had essays to write, and I was stressed out of my gourd. And I remember you said to me, man, let's go out for a couple of hours. You need the break. And I said, I really do the work. And back then, I did not take nearly as much convincing. I really didn't.
It was like maybe the third time I asked, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Nowadays,
No, okay.
I was a far less responsible adult back then, and now I'm just a little bit more responsible. You know, I have a kid. I got a spouse who doesn't always say yes. She doesn't always say yes. So.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, she is wonderful, but yeah, she doesn't always say yes. So. I guess it could be better. Hey, well, cheers to that. Where's your go? So anyway, yeah, sponsored by Tim Hortons. Anyway, proudly serving Canadians. But yeah, so we went out that second night, and we showed up, and it had been raining all day. If you remember, it was a really miserable day, and that was another reason I didn't want to come out, because it was foggy and it was horrendous. But we showed up, and the temperature plummeted. I remember we were in our winter jackets by that point. You know,
that too is cold as well.
And 2 hours in, nothing. There wasn't even a roll. And it was pretty much almost at the 2 hour mark, we started getting the first knocks and indications that fish were around. We saw the first breach, and then completely out of the blue, my rod exploded, just melted off. And I remember picking up that rod thinking, oh, you know, another, you know, screaming 16. That's what we used to call them, right? Those mid doubles, those screaming 16 pounders.
16-pound males.
And I picked up the rod, tightened down the clutch, and immediately just backed off the clutch, because I felt that rod keels right over. And I began fighting that fish, and the current was up. And I know that the current definitely can sometimes fool us when we're fishing in rivers, but there was no doubt about it. That fish had put its head right down and was sitting in the bottom of the gulch here. And yeah, you said to me, oh, it's probably a 20, it's probably a 20, and you put your waders on, and well, after I nagged him, I was like, put your goddamn waders on, I need your help here, right? And so he went out, and he walked out, and what did you see?
Well,
that million candlelight,
the
headlight came on, it was like daytime underneath the bridge.
Yeah, so, because there's a bit of a flat here, so I walked out. He's saying it's a big fish. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, like, well, whatever. We caught a couple mid-doubles here, so whatever, it'll be fine. And I get to the net, and the fish wasn't that long, so I thought, oh yeah, it's maybe 24, 25. So don't worry about it. Runs, Will's bring it to the net, I get ready, and as he lifts the head up and it comes over the cord, it sort of turns sideways, and I realize it like eclipses the sun at that point. So it just kept going. It was like so deep. So I thought, oh my God, that's big. And I said, Will, you're gonna want to weigh this one.
And for him to say that, and then you followed it up with like, this is the biggest fish I have ever seen.
I think at that point it was the biggest fish. It still might be the biggest fish I've ever seen.
And I remember you saying that, and you had just netted in the summer a 33.5 for me.
Yeah.
And my PB at the time was 34. And when you said that, it was obviously notably larger than that 33 that you netted for me. So to hear that, just my knees started knocking.
Yeah, well, to see it, my knees started knocking, man. It was a huge fish.
And we put it up on that mat, and the first thing that went through our heads is, this is 40 pounds. This is a 40.
I thought it was 40.
And granted, had it gone a little bit longer, maybe 2 inches longer, 3 inches longer, and maintained that gut up front, that very well could have been a high 30, low 40, but needle stopped on the scale at 35.1. It was my personal best, and I remember Conrad and I were just jumping for joy. We were so pumped. And we put that fish back, and at that point, you know, it was like celebrations all around. I just pub chucked it out there. I didn't really care. And it went off again half an hour later. And I'm fighting this fish again. I'm just laughing. I like, what could possibly come next, right? And it was a mirror.
A mirror.
Are
you kidding me?
Yeah.
A PB in the mirror on a session he didn't even want to come out on, that I had to convince him to come out on. He caught a PB in a mirror, and I blanked.
Yeah. So, and how the tables have turned. Now here we are now, 4 years later at this exact same spot, and now you have midterms.
Yep, I just finished an essay. Could barely make it out today, but I'm happy I did.
Yeah, barely slept last night.
Barely slept, man.
So, I mean, and you know, now 4 years later, I'm not going to go on a practice teaching experience. I'm actually taking on a full-time job as of Tuesday, October the 13th, which is the date that I caught my personal best.
Which is insane.
It's pretty crazy. So here's hoping today, yeah, syncrasy, that's right. Let's hope today that we can be graced with another one of this location's absolute monsters, and Galen has had a lot of quality fish out of here since we've left. And I know there's a lot of big fish in here, a really big mirror that I'd love to see. But that claw common, that 35 one, has not been seen in 4 years. It could be dead.
It could be 40.
Or it could be 40 pounds. So I guess you'll just have to stay tuned and see how we get on. Well, much like the way it started for Conrad and I 4 years ago. A lovely mid-high double. Not gonna bother weighing this one. But a cracking fish. Great little fight there in the current. We'll get this one back and maybe we'll have a couple more. Well, the winds are starting to pick up and we can definitely see there's a nasty pressure system pushing in. And clearly the fish are not about. When we did have a little bit of clear skies, I even went up on the bridge and looked down, which makes it was a really good vantage point. I could see 2, maybe 3 fish in the swim total, and that does not yield confidence. Usually this spot's holding 20, 30 fish at a time, and that's just not the case today. So obviously they're not in right now, they're not interested in the feed, but we did have the one fish this morning, which I think was a really lucky bite. So big shout out to Galen, because once again, if you hadn't baited, who knows, maybe they wouldn't have shown up at all.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Galen.
Big thanks to you, buddy. And once again, be on the lookout for Galen's content in the future. He's got a lot of great stuff to come. But I want to thank you all for your continued support of my channel, of the Stories from the Collection series, and I look forward to sharing more of those with you next year, 2021. Can you believe it? 2021? That'll be 7 years that you and I have been friends.
7? It's too long.
That's too long. So be sure to look out for our Carp Fin Boot Chronicles, which is going to be a lot
more
of
to come.
We got a couple of great venues to take that boat into next year.
Plans for spring 2021, so stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. So really exciting things to come. I hope you guys have had a really productive season. I hope that this year's been kind to you, all things considering. And I hope that all these videos have found you well. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. And until next time, tight lines. A week after this episode was filmed, Dan and Galen returned to the bridge swim for a session of their own. I received a very excited video call later that afternoon, hoping that I could help confirm a capture. There was no mistaking it.
Well, this one goes out to you, buddy. Thanks for everything. I cannot believe I have this fish in my hands right now. We've talked about it many times over the last probably 4 years since you've had it. And I finally plucked it from the spot that we call probably the best spot that I've ever fished. I don't know, I'm a loss for words. We'll get her back after a few photos. Unfortunately, she's lost a bit of weight since you've had her, but the claw lives. The claw common lives. Amazing. Amazing.